Okay, so you're about to hire a recruitment coordinator,
Mm-hmm.
and you really want to make sure you're asking the right questions, right?
Right.
To find that perfect fit.
Exactly.
You sent over some really insightful material from Teslify,
Oh, yeah?
the skills assessment platform, and this gives us a ton to unpack today.
Lots to talk about.
So get ready, because we're doing a deep dive
Okay.
into not just the qualities of a great recruitment coordinator,
Right.
but how to actually uncover those qualities during the interview process.
During the interview, yeah.
So what's fascinating is how the material emphasizes a holistic understanding of the recruitment lifecycle.
It's really interesting.
It's not just about filling a position, right?
Right,
It's
yeah.
about understanding each step,
Mm-hmm.
from attracting candidates to sourcing, screening, interviewing, onboarding,
Yeah.
and even measuring how successful each hire is.
The whole thing, start to finish.
The whole thing.
The whole life cycle.
And it seems like they're really stressing that end-to-end experience.
Yeah, for sure.
I noticed they even provided a sample answer to the question, can you describe your experience in managing end-to-end recruitment processes?
I saw that.
And they suggest the ideal candidate would say something like,
What was it?
I've managed these processes for different organizations. I've sourced candidates using multiple channels, conducted thorough screenings, coordinated interviews, and facilitated onboarding.
That's a mouthful.
Plus, I understand that clear communication with both candidates and hiring managers makes for a positive experience for everyone involved.
It's like they're hitting all the major points, you know?
Yeah, it's very comprehensive.
Yeah.
What stands out to you in that response?
Well, I think the emphasis on creating a positive candidate experience, it's
Okay.
not just about filling the role, right?
Right.
It's about recognizing that every candidate, whether they get the job or not,
Okay.
can become an ambassador for your company.
That's a really good point.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They could go on to tell their friends, hey, even though I didn't get the job, they treated me really well.
It's like they're saying a good coordinator understands that recruitment is about building relationships,
Yeah.
not just processing applications.
Not just pushing paper.
I also noticed another sample answer focusing on creating that positive candidate experience.
Oh, yeah, there were a couple in there.
The ideal candidate might say,
Let's hear it.
I make sure there's clear and timely communication at every stage.
Okay.
I give regular updates, offer feedback, and address concerns quickly.
Keeping people in the loop.
I also like to personalize the interaction to make each candidate feel valued throughout their journey with our organization.
So it's not just a transaction.
Right.
It's a human interaction.
Exactly.
Making them feel like a person, not just a number.
And those sample answers are great starting points.
For sure.
But to really understand how someone works,
Yeah.
we need to go beyond just what they say they would do.
Yeah.
That's where behavioral interview questions become so powerful,
I love behavioral questions.
because they reveal how a candidate has actually handled situations in the past.
It's the real test.
So, I was thinking the same thing.
Great minds.
The material actually lists some really good behavioral questions.
Okay. What do they have?
Like, describe a time you faced a difficult hiring challenge.
Mm-hmm.
How did you approach it and overcome it?
Classic.
Or tell me about a time you juggled multiple priorities in a recruitment project.
Okay. Yeah.
How did you manage your time and make sure everything was successful?
I love that one.
So those are forcing the candidate to give you a real example of their experience.
Yeah, not just a hypothetical.
Those are excellent examples. Behavioral questions like that force candidates to go beyond canned responses and show you their actual problem-solving skills in action.
You get to see how they think on their feet.
Exactly.
Because you don't want someone who just crumbles under pressure. You want someone who can think on their feet, adapt, and prioritize effectively.
Wouldn't that make a seemingly simple question like, tell me about a time you had to deal with a difficult client? Incredibly insightful,
Oh, absolutely.
because you could get at so much there.
Yeah, so much.
How they deal with conflict,
Mm-hmm. Conflict resolution.
if they can stay professional,
Exactly.
when things get a little heated.
Yeah, you don't want someone who's going to fly off the handle.
The answer could reveal volumes about their communication style, their conflict resolution skills, and their ability to maintain professionalism, even in challenging situations.
It's like a little window into their personality.
A little sneak peek.
Exactly.
And speaking of measuring success, let's talk about the importance of metrics in recruitment.
Okay, yeah, metrics.
So we're not just talking about how many candidates someone can bring in, right?
Right.
This is about digging deeper.
It's more than just the numbers.
Exactly. The source material really emphasizes metrics like time to fill, cost per hire, and quality of hire.
All important stuff.
Imagine you've had a position open for months.
Oh, the cost just keeps going up.
Cost per hire skyrockets the longer it stays vacant. So a
Exactly.
sharp coordinator can track those metrics and pinpoint bottlenecks in your process.
They can figure out where things are getting stuck.
They're not just numbers. They're vital for understanding how efficient your recruitment process really is and finding ways to improve it.
Yeah, it's all about continuous improvement.
So it's about having that data-driven mindset.
Absolutely.
Even in a role that's traditionally been very people-focused,
Mhm.
it's like they need to be both analytical and empathetic.
It's a balance.
Yeah, you need both sides of the brain.
You got it.
Precisely. Efficient hiring is key, but it's not just about speed. Building a truly great team means attracting a diverse range of talent.
Diversity is so important.
And the material highlights this as a core competency for a recruitment coordinator.
Yeah, they really emphasize that.
It sounds like they're looking for someone who's proactive in seeking out diverse talent, ensuring the company is inclusive and representative. It's about understanding that talent comes from all walks of life,
Exactly. All backgrounds, all experiences.
and they're looking for someone who will take that initiative.
Yeah, someone who's passionate about it.
Yes, and this ties into another crucial aspect, the power of employer branding.
Employer branding. Okay.
A recruitment coordinator isn't just processing applicants. They're often the first impression a potential hire has of your company.
They're the face of the company.
So it's almost like they're part marketer, part recruiter.
Yeah, kind of a hybrid role.
They need to understand and be able to sell what makes your company a great place to work.
They need to be able to tell the story.
Exactly. Now, Testify, the company behind this material, is obviously a big advocate for skills assessments.
That's their bread and butter.
What's their main argument for using them during the hiring process? I mean, we have resumes and interviews already.
Right.
What's the added value?
Well, their point is that resumes and interviews alone don't always give you the full picture.
I see.
Like, a resume is just a piece of paper.
Right.
And in an interview, people can be nervous. They might not always present themselves in the best light.
Okay, yeah.
So skills assessments offer a standardized and objective way to measure essential skills.
So it's like a level playing field.
Exactly.
Everyone's being measured on the same criteria.
Yeah, it takes some of the subjectivity out of it.
Think of it like getting a sneak peek behind the curtain to see a candidate's real abilities, not just what they say they can do.
You get to see them in action.
And they're looking at a pretty wide range of skills, right?
Oh, yeah, a wide range.
They're not just testing for one specific thing.
No, it's a whole suite of skills.
Right. They mention communication and interpersonal skills, which are crucial for someone interacting with both candidates and hiring managers.
Makes sense.
They also emphasize problem solving and critical thinking. Because, let's face it, recruitment can be a bit of a puzzle sometimes.
Yeah, it's not always straightforward.
And then they even highlight organizational and time management skills, which are essential for staying on top of a busy recruitment workload.
Especially when you're juggling multiple requisitions.
And in today's world, wouldn't they also be looking at tech skills?
Of course.
After all, so much recruitment happens online these days.
It's all digital now.
Absolutely. They specifically mention proficiency with applicant tracking systems and other recruiting software.
Essential tools of the trade.
You wouldn't want a carpenter who doesn't know how to use a saw, would you?
Nope, that would be a disaster.
Definitely not. So we've covered a lot of ground here. What stands out to you as the most important takeaway for someone about to hire a recruitment coordinator?
That's a tough one.
Yeah, there's a lot to consider.
There is. I think for me, the biggest shift is the emphasis on strategic thinking. This isn't just an administrative role anymore. You need someone who understands candidate behavior, employer branding, and data-driven decision-making. This role has become much more strategic and impactful in today's hiring landscape.
And that raises a good point.
What's that?
Does over-reliance on metrics risk dehumanizing the process?
Oh, that's interesting.
I mean, we're still talking about people here.
Yeah, of course we are.
It's not just about numbers.
It's about people's careers,
Right. People's livelihoods.
their hopes and dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course we are. It's not just about numbers.
Right. People's livelihood.
Their hopes and dreams.
Their hopes and dreams.
Exactly. So it's important to find that balance.
So finding that balance is really key.
Yeah, between the data and the human touch.
That's a great question. And it's something the source material touches on indirectly. While technology can definitely enhance the efficiency and effectiveness of the recruitment process, it should never completely replace the human element.
Right. Technology is a tool.
It's a tool.
It can help us, but it shouldn't take over.
Exactly. You can have all the data and automation in the world, but at the end of the day, it's about connecting with people, understanding their motivations, and building those relationships.
It's about building trust.
Yeah, trust.
Making people feel comfortable.
Because if you think about it, the candidate experience is kind of like a customer experience.
It is.
You want them to walk away feeling good about the interaction.
Exactly. Even if they don't get the job.
Even if they don't get the job.
And they might apply again in the future, or they might tell their friends about their positive experience.
Exactly. A skilled recruitment coordinator understands that data is a valuable tool for making informed decisions. But it's the human connection that truly drives those successful hiring outcomes.
It's that personal touch.
It's interesting how they need to balance those two sides. Being data savvy, yet still people-oriented. It's like they're a data-driven empath.
I like that, a data-driven empath.
That's like a superpower.
It is. And that brings up another point that stood out to me from the material, the emphasis on understanding candidate behavior.
Oh, interesting. Tell me more about that.
Well, the source material talks about the importance of proactive sourcing strategies,
Okay.
particularly when it comes to attracting those passive candidates.
Passive candidates, so those are people who aren't actively looking for a new job.
Right, they might be happy in their current role, but they're open to hearing about new opportunities.
So how do you reach those people?
That's where understanding candidate behavior comes in. This means understanding where those potential candidates are spending their time online,
Okay.
what kind of content they're engaging with, and how to approach them in a way that's both personalized and compelling.
So it's not just about posting a job description and hoping for the best. It's about actively seeking out the right talent and tailoring your approach to their specific needs and interests.
Exactly. It's like a targeted marketing campaign.
So it's like they're doing market research on potential candidates.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You need to understand your target audience. And that requires a deep understanding of candidate psychology. What motivates them? What are their career goals? What kind of company culture are they looking for?
All those things.
It's almost like they need to be a bit of a psychologist.
Yeah, a little bit.
Sounds like the role of the recruitment coordinator is becoming much more strategic and nuanced than ever before.
Absolutely. They're not just gatekeepers anymore. They're talent advisors, strategists, and brand ambassadors.
That's a lot of hats to wear.
It is, but it's also an exciting role.
Okay, so let's say you're interviewing a potential recruitment coordinator. Based on everything we've discussed,
Yeah.
what's one question you absolutely have to ask them?
That's a tough one. There are so many good options. But if I had to choose just one, I think I'd ask them. Describe a time when you had to adjust your recruitment approach to successfully attract passive candidates. How did you identify and engage them effectively?
Okay, I like that. It's a very specific scenario.
Yeah, it forces them to give a concrete example.
And it gets at so many important skills.
Right. Strategic thinking, understanding candidate behavior, proactivity.
Plus, it touches on employer branding.
You got it. How they present the company to those potential candidates.
It's like a multifaceted gem of a question.
I like that.
A multifaceted gem.
Yes.
Okay, so their answer to that would tell me a lot about their creativity, resourcefulness,
Yeah.
and their ability to adapt to different situations.
Exactly. You want someone who can think outside the box.
And speaking of punch, the source material also mentions the importance of handling those difficult conversations.
Oh, yeah, those tough conversations.
You know, like giving constructive feedback to candidates who might not be the right fit.
Right, or navigating disagreements with hiring managers about selection criteria.
Oh, yeah. Those can be tricky situations. We've all had to give tough feedback.
It's never easy.
I once had to tell a candidate they weren't quite the right fit, even though they had an incredible resume.
Ouch.
It was hard. It takes a certain level of diplomacy and tact to handle those conversations well.
For sure. You need to be honest, but also compassionate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's something that should be specifically addressed during the interview process. You might have something like, tell me about a time you had to have a difficult conversation or provide constructive feedback to a candidate or a hiring manager. How did you approach it?
That's a really good one. It gets at their communication style, their emotional intelligence, and their ability to maintain professionalism even under pressure.
Exactly. You want someone who can be both honest and empathetic. Someone who can deliver tough news without damaging those important relationships.
Right, someone who can build bridges, not burn them.
Exactly. So it seems like finding the perfect recruitment coordinator is a bit like finding a unicorn.
Ha, maybe.
They need to be organized, tech-savvy, data-driven, people-oriented, persuasive, and diplomatic all at the same time.
It's a tall order, but it's not impossible.
Well, for anyone out there feeling a little overwhelmed by the unicorn hunt, I think this deep dive has given you some fantastic tools and insights to help you find the right person for the job.
Absolutely. Remember, it's about looking beyond the resume, asking the right questions, and really understanding what makes a great recruitment coordinator in today's dynamic hiring landscape.
Now, one thing the source material doesn't explicitly address is the role of intuition in the hiring process. Do you think there's still a place for that gut feeling when making hiring decisions, even with all the data and technology at our disposal?
That's an interesting question,
Mm,
and one that often sparks debate in the recruitment world. While data and technology provide valuable insights, I believe there's still a place for intuition,
okay,
especially when it comes to assessing things like cultural fit and those soft skills that are harder to measure.
I know what you mean. Sometimes you just get a sense about someone, whether they be a good fit for the team or not.
Exactly. It's about reading between the lines, picking up on subtle cues, and trusting your gut based on your experience and understanding of human behavior.
So it's not about abandoning data altogether, but about using it in conjunction with your intuition to make the best possible decision.
Mhm.
So it's not about abandoning data altogether,
Mhm.
but about using it in conjunction with your intuition to make the best possible decision.
Yeah, in conjunction, I like that. It's like having a toolbox full of different instruments.
Yeah.
You wouldn't use a hammer for every job, right?
Right.
You need the right tool for the task at hand.
Of course.
And sometimes that tool is your intuition.
That's a great analogy.
I try.
So for our listener who's getting ready to hire a recruitment coordinator, what's the key takeaway? What's the one thing they should keep in mind throughout this whole process?
Oh man, just one thing. There's so much.
I know, it's a lot to take in.
If I had to boil it down to one thing, I'd say look for someone who's not just a process follower,
Okay.
but a problem solver.
Okay, let's unpack that. What do you mean by that?
Hey, so the recruitment landscape, it's constantly changing, right?
Okay.
New technologies are always emerging, candidate expectations are shifting, and the competition for top talent, it's fierce.
It's a jungle out there.
It is. So you need someone who can not only navigate the current landscape,
Okay.
but also anticipate future challenges and find creative solutions.
So they need to be adaptable,
Yes,
resourceful,
absolutely.
and always thinking one step ahead.
That's it. That's the key.
And that's something you can assess throughout the interview process.
Mhm.
You can ask them about how they've handled unexpected challenges in the past,
Yeah, real life examples.
how they stay up to date on industry trends,
Because things change so quickly.
and what innovative approaches they've taken to sourcing and engaging candidates.
You want to hear about their successes.
Their wins.
Exactly.
And you want to hear their thinking behind those successes.
How did they achieve those wins? What was their strategy?
Yeah, their thought process.
Their approach?
So I think this deep dive has really highlighted how the role of the recruitment coordinator has transformed
It's amazing, isn't it?
from a purely administrative function
Yeah, pushing paper.
to a much more strategic and impactful position.
Absolutely. They're playing a key role in shaping the future of the company.
Exactly. It's a fascinating evolution,
It is.
and one that underscores the increasing importance of talent acquisition in today's competitive business world.
Talent is everything.
It is.
Yeah.
If you don't have the right people in the right roles,
You're not going to succeed.
exactly. So finding the right recruitment coordinator, it's an investment.
It's an investment in your company's future.
Absolutely.
Well, I think we've given our listener a lot to think about.
I hope so.
As you go into your interviews, keep in mind what we've discussed
Hmm.
about the candidate experience,
Treat them well.
the power of data-driven decision-making,
Use the data wisely.
the need for a diverse and inclusive approach,
Build a team that reflects the world.
and above all, the importance of finding someone who's not just a task completer, but a true problem solver.
That's the golden ticket.
And don't forget to trust your gut.
Always trust your gut. Sometimes that intuitive spark can lead you to the perfect candidate.
It can. It really can.
So good luck out there.
Happy hiring.
Happy hiring.